My feet used to wake me up at 3 in the morning. Not pain, cold. The kind of cold that doesn't go away when you pull the blanket tighter. Ice block cold, right at the toes, spreading toward the ankle. And I'd lie there thinking, this is just getting old. It wasn't. I'm 83. I walk 2 miles most mornings. I still do my own grocery shopping, carry my own bags, climb my own stairs. My feet are warm. They have been for going on 4 years now. And the thing that changed wasn't a prescription. It wasn't a new doctor. It was a food. A cheap, plain, almost embarrassingly ordinary food that I started eating every single night before bed. I want to tell you exactly what it is, exactly why it works, and exactly what was happening inside your feet and legs that nobody has sat down and explained to you. Because there are 3 things happening in your body right now, 3 separate processes, and the third one is the one that nobody connects to cold feet. Not the nurses, not the pharmacists, not the endocrinologists who have 8 minutes with you and a prescription pad. When you understand the third one, you'll understand why the cheese works. Stay with me because this is going to change how you think about your feet. Before I name the food, I need to show you what's actually happening, because most people get told the same thing. Poor circulation, it's the diabetes, wear warm socks. And the socks don't help. The warm socks don't help because they're addressing the symptom. Nobody's addressing the mechanism. Here's the mechanism, and it has a name. It's called peripheral neuropathy combined with microvascular dysfunction. 2 different processes happening at the same time in the same location, your feet and lower legs. The first process, when blood sugar runs high, not sky high, just chronically elevated, 150, 160, 175 on a regular basis, glucose attaches to proteins in your nerve fibers. Researchers call this glycation. Think of it like rust forming on a wire. The wire still looks like a wire, but the signal moving through it gets weaker. Researchers at multiple institutions studying diabetic complications have linked this glycation process directly to what you feel as numbness, tingling, and cold in the extremities. The damage is real. It's happening inside the nerve fiber itself. The second process. Those same elevated blood sugar levels damage the tiny blood vessels, the microvasculature, that feed your nerves with oxygen and nutrients. Your feet are at the end of the line. The blood has to travel far to get there, through vessels that are narrowing and stiffening. Less blood reaching the nerve, less oxygen, less warmth. The sensation of cold that doesn't respond to blankets is often a circulation problem at the microscopic level, not a room temperature problem. Now here's the third process, the one nobody explains. After 60, when your blood sugar stays elevated overnight, the glycation doesn't stop while you sleep. It continues, quietly, while you're lying there. The overnight window, roughly midnight to 6 in the morning, is when some of the most significant nerve tissue damage accumulates, precisely because that's when nobody's watching the number, nobody's walking after dinner, nobody's doing anything to interrupt the process. Research has linked chronically elevated fasting glucose specifically to accelerated peripheral nerve damage over time. Your morning fasting number isn't just a data point. It's a window into what happened to your nerves while you were asleep. And here's why that matters for what I'm about to tell you about the cheese. Drop your fasting blood sugar number in the comments right now. Just the number. If you're on metformin, add the word yes. Because what I'm covering today is specifically useful if you're already managing blood sugar and still dealing with the feet. I read every comment on this channel. The food is cottage cheese. Full-fat cottage cheese, 1 cup, every night, approximately 30 minutes before I go to sleep. I know how that sounds. I know you were expecting something exotic, something you've never heard of. It's cottage cheese. $1.50 per serving at any grocery store in the country. But let me show you why it works, specifically for the overnight window I just described, because it's not random. Cottage cheese is the highest casein protein food most people will ever eat. Casein is a slow-digesting protein. Unlike egg white or whey, which digest quickly and spike amino acids fast, casein releases amino acids gradually over 4 to 5 hours. Research has shown that casein protein consumed before sleep supports overnight muscle protein synthesis, and, critically, helps stabilize blood sugar through the night compared to going to bed with no protein on board at all. The mechanism involves a slower, steadier glucagon response. Your liver gets a quieter signal to release glucose instead of the larger dump that happens when your blood sugar drops too fast overnight. A steadier blood sugar overnight means less glycation happening to those nerve fibers while you sleep. Less damage accumulating in the very window when nobody's watching. But that's not the only reason. A cup of full-fat cottage cheese contains meaningful amounts of magnesium. And this is the part I want you to write down. Research has consistently shown that a significant percentage of people with type 2 diabetes are deficient in magnesium. Some studies suggest the majority. And magnesium is not optional for nerve function. It's the mineral that controls how electrical signals move through nerve tissue. Think of magnesium as the lubricant on the signal wire. When it's low, the signal slows. Research has linked low magnesium specifically to nerve conduction problems and to the kind of peripheral symptoms, coldness, tingling, heaviness in the legs, that doctors often attribute to circulation alone. Cottage cheese also provides B12. And after 65, B12 absorption declines. And if you're on metformin, research has established that long-term use of metformin is associated with reduced B12 levels in a meaningful percentage of users. B12 is essential for maintaining the myelin sheath, the protective coating around your nerve fibers. When that coating deteriorates, nerve signals don't travel correctly. The result, over time, is exactly what many people feel in their feet: numbness, coldness, poor sensation. B12 isn't the whole story, but it's a piece that's missing in more people than realize it. 1 cup of cottage cheese, nightly, delivers casein protein for overnight blood sugar stability, magnesium for nerve conduction support, and B12 for myelin protection. 3 separate mechanisms, all addressed by a food that costs less than $2 a serving. If your feet burn at night, or go numb, or feel cold no matter how many socks you wear, please don't ignore it. I almost did, and I'm 80 years old. For years I told myself it was just age, the tingling, the heaviness in my legs climbing the stairs. But it wasn't age. It was my blood sugar quietly damaging the nerves and the circulation in my legs, and almost nobody warned me in time. If you let it keep going, those little signals turn into something you can't undo. I wasn't willing to lose my feet or my independence. So I started doing one thing every single day to help support healthy blood sugar and protect my legs. I'll show you exactly what in this video. And if you want the simple support I personally use, there's a free presentation linked in the description below. Now let me tell you about a woman who wrote to me last year. 78 years old, from Tucson. 14 years managing type 2. She'd been dealing with cold feet for 6 of those years. She'd told her doctor. She'd been told it was neuropathy, it was the diabetes, it was to be expected. Nobody asked what she was eating at night. Nobody asked if she was going to bed with any protein in her system at all. She was eating dinner at 6, going to sleep at 10, and spending 4 hours with her blood sugar doing whatever it was going to do, unsupported, in the dark. She started the cottage cheese, 30 minutes before bed, every night. She wrote to me 3 months later. She said the cold had changed. Not gone. She's been managing this for 14 years, and I'm not going to tell you cottage cheese erases 14 years. But changed. More warmth. More consistent. The 3 a.m. wake-up from ice block feet happening less often. I'm not her doctor. I don't know her full picture. But the mechanism is real. The overnight window is real. And what she changed was the overnight window. Here's what I want you to understand about why your doctor may not have connected this for you. It's not because they don't care. I want to say that clearly. It is because the average diabetes appointment runs 8 to 12 minutes. In that time, they review your A1C, adjust medications if needed, check your feet for open wounds, and move to the next patient. Nobody has time to explain the 3-process mechanism I just described. Nobody has time to ask what you're eating at 9 p.m. The system isn't built for that conversation, which means that conversation falls to you. You have to bring it, and you can bring it. At your next appointment, ask 3 things. Ask your doctor to check your B12 level. Specifically, ask for the number. If it's below 400, that's a conversation. Ask about your magnesium. Ask what your fasting numbers are doing between midnight and 6 a.m. If you have a continuous monitor, look at that overnight curve. If you don't, try checking your glucose at 2 or 3 a.m. once a week for a month. You might be surprised at what you find. I want to be direct with you about something. The cottage cheese does not replace your medication. I'm not suggesting that, and I would never suggest it. If your doctor prescribed metformin, Jardiance, insulin, keep taking it. What I'm talking about is what you do alongside your treatment, what you do in the hours your medication doesn't cover. Metformin works primarily on your liver and on fasting production. It doesn't stand in the nerve fiber of your toe at 3 in the morning and stop the glycation. Food timing does things that medication timing doesn't reach. That's not a criticism of the medication. It's an honest description of what each tool does. Now, there are things I want you to pair with the cottage cheese because the overnight protocol works better as a system. First, the temperature of your bedroom. Research has linked sleep fragmentation and elevated cortisol to higher fasting blood sugar the next morning. A consistent sleep temperature, around 65 to 68 degrees, supports deeper, slow-wave sleep. Deeper sleep means a quieter cortisol response, and a quieter cortisol response means your liver releases less stored glucose at 3 a.m. Less glucose in the blood overnight, less glycation on the nerve fiber. Everything connects. Second, a 10-minute walk after dinner, before the cottage cheese, before bed. Research from George Washington University found that short post-meal walks activate a glucose transporter in muscle tissue that pulls sugar out of the bloodstream independently of insulin. You're clearing the evening glucose load before the overnight window even starts. So by the time you eat the cottage cheese and go to sleep, you're beginning from a lower number. Third, morning protein. What you eat first in the morning determines how your blood sugar responds to every meal that follows. Research has shown that eating protein first, eggs, Greek yogurt, before any carbohydrates activates a gut hormone called GLP-1, which slows glucose absorption and supports a steadier response through the morning. Your feet live inside a blood sugar environment all day long. The steadier that environment, the less glycation accumulating inside those nerves. 1 cup of cottage cheese at night, a 10-minute walk after dinner, a protein-first breakfast. 3 things. None of them expensive, none of them require a gym or a prescription. If you made it this far, you already understand more about your own legs than most people your age ever will. That matters. You know now that the burning, the numbness, the cold feet, they trace back to one thing: blood sugar slowly working against your nerves and circulation. And you know the goal isn't a miracle. It's protecting your ability to stand, to walk, to stay independent. That's why, alongside everything I showed you today, I use a simple daily support to help keep my blood sugar in a healthy range, so my legs keep carrying me where I want to go. I put the free presentation in the description below. Go watch it. And as always, keep working with your doctor. This supports your routine. It doesn't replace it. I want to ask you something I genuinely want you to think about. Think about the people in your life who are your age, or who were. The ones who are still moving, still warm, still walking without help, still getting up off chairs without bracing. And the ones who aren't. What separated them? Most people say genetics. Some say luck. I've watched people for over 20 years, and I will tell you what I see consistently. The people who paid attention to what happened inside their bodies in the quiet hours, the nighttime hours, the early morning hours, the hours between meals, are the ones still walking. The people who dismissed it as just aging didn't look at those hours at all. Your feet are telling you something right now. The cold, the tingling, the heaviness, it's not age. It's a signal from nerve tissue that isn't getting what it needs. The good news is that some of what it needs is available at your grocery store tonight for less than $2. Talk to your doctor before you make any significant changes, especially if you're managing kidney issues or any condition that requires you to limit protein. That's not caution for its own sake. It's where you start. Show your doctor what I shared today. Ask the questions I gave you. If something in this video landed for you, if you heard the mechanism and thought, nobody ever explained it that way, drop the words warm feet in the comments. Tell me your starting point. Tell me your fasting number. I want to know where you are, because there's one more piece to the overnight picture that I didn't get to cover here. Specifically, what happens to your blood sugar between 2 and 4 in the morning, why your fasting number some days is higher than it should be, even when you've done everything right the night before, and what to do about it. I put together a guide that covers exactly that window. The link is below this video. That's your next step. Start tonight. 1 cup of cottage cheese, 30 minutes before bed. That's how it begins.